We see that Pay in 4 button, and it feels like we've found a cheat code. Zero interest, instant gratification. For a generation already suffocating under $1.7 trillion in student debt, it feels like we're finally outsmarting the system, dodging the credit card monster our parents warned us about. That's the lie. We're not budgeting. We're beta testing a new form of financial quicksand, and the rules were just rewritten under our feet without a single warning. The very thing that made it feel safe at separation from our credit score was silently removed. This wasn't an accident. It was a redesign. And the math proving how that free purchase will cost you thousands in the long run is something they are counting on you never doing. But we're going to do it right now, and by the end, you will understand how this game is actually played. This trap wasn't built for us, but it was perfected on us. Our parents, the boomers, played a different game. They bought homes for 2 times the median income. We're staring down a market where that ratio is now 7 to 1. They graduated from college with debt that could be paid off with a summer job. We graduated with mortgages for degrees that don't guarantee a living wage. We were handed a playbook where the rules had already been rewritten. Get a good job, they told us. As real wages for our age group stagnated for 40 years while the cost of everything is still housing, healthcare, education exploded. We weren't failing to launch, we were trying to take off from a runway that had been systematically dismantled piece by piece right before we got our turn. So we entered the workforce already behind, burdened with a quiet shame that we weren't measuring up. The system needed our consumption to keep the engine running, but it had already stripped us of the means. That's the gap whereby now Pay Later was born. It wasn't an innovation. It was an anesthetic. For a few years, it worked. It was our secret loophole, a financial blind spot outside the all-seeing eye of the 3 credit bureaus. We could juggle these tiny interest-free microloans without it ever touching our permanent record. But while we were splitting payments on a new pair of sneakers, the bureaus were realizing they were missing a treasure trove of data. The game was about to change, and this quiet rebellion was about to become a permanent entry on our financial report card. This wasn't a bug fix. It was the closing of an exit. The players in this game aren't hidden. We just weren't taught to see them. On one side, you have the retailers, the ones who pay BNPL companies like Klarna and Afterpay up to 6% per transaction, double the fee for a credit card because they know our average order value will jump by 40%. When we click that Pay in 4 button, they're not offering us a service. They're buying our impulsivity at a premium. Then there are the BNPL firms themselves, whose entire model is built on those retailer fees and, more quietly, the late fees they collect when we inevitably lose track of the dozens of tiny payments we're juggling. And finally, the silent partner that just joined the table, the credit bureaus. For years, they had a massive blind spot on our generation's spending habits. Now, with every sneaker and concert ticket we finance, they get a fresh stream of data to package and sell to the very lenders who will one day deny us a mortgage. We are on the other side. We are not the customer in this transaction. We are the product being sold. Our desire for a budgeting tool becomes their revenue stream. Our hope for an interest-free purchase becomes their data point. They need us to believe this is a harmless convenience, to see it as a payment option and not what it truly is, an unregulated microloan. The stakes for them are continued, explosive profits. The stakes for us are our entire financial future, defined by a credit score that can be kneecapped by a single $7 late fee on a $50 payment before we're even old enough to rent a car. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. They turned our financial blind spot into their biggest opportunity. Now, let me show you the math on how a free $200 purchase can end up costing you thousands. The core of the trap isn't just the loan, it's the calculated invisibility. We were never taught to see it. Our education system spends 12 years preparing us for a job, but not 1 hour preparing us for the economy. We'll do that job, and they taught us compound interest as a magical tool for savings, but never showed us how it becomes a weapon when it's working against you. They told us a good credit score is the key to financial health, but failed to mention the only way to build one is by taking on the very debt that can destroy you. It's a perfect paradox. We are judged on a game we were never taught the rules to, so when a Pay in 4 button appears clean, simple, interest-free, it doesn't register as a threat. It feels like a solution. It feels like we're finally getting a break. But you're not getting a break. You're being disarmed. And this is the moment the trap springs. The one feature that made BNPL feel safe was its separation from your permanent financial record. It was our ghost economy, a place to manage the impossible pressures without the all-seeing eyes of Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion judging our every move. That was the deal. But starting in 2022, that deal was silently broken. The credit bureaus, hungry for a new stream of data on our generation, began integrating BNPL payment histories into your official credit file. There was no warning, no pop-up, no public service announcement. The very thing that made it harmless was removed overnight, turning every single free payment plan into a higher-risk credit-damaging microloan retroactively. They didn't just change the rules. They waited until we were all on the field and then rewrote the definition of winning. And now, I'm going to show you the math that proves how that free purchase has already been weaponized against you. Let me show you the math. We buy a $200 pair of sneakers, and the button promises for easy payments of $50. It feels free. But we're not just making one of these purchases. The data shows the average user is juggling 4 different BNPL plans at the same time. That's not for payments. It's a shell game of 16 different microdebts, all with different due dates designed to be impossible to track. So you miss one. A single $50 payment, a few days late, you pay the $7 late fee and think the damage is contained. But that's not a fine. That's a trigger. That one event is now reported to Experian for our generation with what they call thin credit files. That single report isn't a minor infraction. It's an instant 50-point drop in your credit score from 690 to 640. Just like that, they didn't just charge you a late fee. They just fundamentally changed how much your future costs. Now, let's play that forward 6 months. You need a car to get to the job that's barely paying the bills. You apply for a standard $25,000 auto loan. With your old score that's 690 you had before the free sneakers, you qualified for a 6% interest rate over a 5-year loan that's $3,968 in total interest paid, a manageable cost. But you don't have that score anymore. You have the 640. The best offer you get now is 9.5%. Do the math. The total interest you'll pay on the exact same car is now $6,432. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. That free $200 purchase didn't just cost you a $7 slate fee, it cost you an extra $2,464. The interest wasn't waived. It was just delayed, multiplied, and attached to the most important purchase you'll make all year. And here's why that number is a kill shot. We are the generation earning a median salary of $56,000. After a 24% tax rate, we take home roughly $3,550 a month. From that, subtract the costs of survival, $1,800 for average rent, $400 for the student loan they swore was an investment, $300 for basic health care. We are left with just over $1,000 for everything else. That's why the BNPL button felt like breathing room. But we just proved it's the most expensive air you can possibly buy. That extra $2,464 you just paid in car interest. That's more than 2 entire months of your disposable income, vaporized. It's been transferred directly from your future security to a lender's profit statement. How many of these free landmines are already buried in your payment history, waiting for you to take your next step? But it doesn't stop there. That's the breaking point we were never meant to see. The system doesn't just hit you once, it puts a permanent lien on your entire financial life. Because next year, when you need a small personal loan to cover an unexpected medical bill, that 640 score is still there. So you pay 18% interest instead of 11%. When you apply for a new apartment, you're either rejected outright or forced to pay a larger security deposit and other few $1,000s locked away. Each time the cost of borrowing is higher, the math becomes an inescapable gravity well. The extra $2,464 from the car, plus another $800 from the personal loan, plus the lost interest on your oversized deposit tit, all stacks up. You're not just paying more, you're being systematically drained. The initial 50-point drop wasn't a penalty. It was a permanent recategorization. You've been branded subprime before you even had a prime. This is the moment the floor gives out. It's a cold, quiet rage that settles in your stomach when you realize the game was rigged from the start. You did everything you were told. You avoided the credit card debt monster. You used the smart budgeting tool. The feeling isn't that you made a mistake. The feeling is that you were lied to. It's the realization that the friendly, colorful Pay in 4 button was a weapon disguised as a convenience aimed directly at your biggest vulnerability, your lack of experience. You're not losing because you're stupid. You're losing because no one taught you the real rules. The shame you felt about not getting ahead evaporates, replaced by a terrifying clarity. You finally see the architecture of the trap, and you see you've been in it for a long, long time. And that's the deeper truth. This outcome isn't an unfortunate side effect, it's the intended product. Someone is profiting from your higher interest rates, your rejected applications, your permanent state of financial precarity. The lenders who get to charge you thousands more, the bureaus who sell your new high-risk profile for a premium, they need a steady supply of people just like us. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, and by now, Pay Later is its most brilliant and insidious recruitment tool yet. It found a generation locked out of the old system and created a new, faster, more efficient way to trap us in the basement. They didn't give you a payment plan. They gave you a financial leash, and you only feel it when you try to run. So what happens if we keep playing their game? In the next 1 to 5 years, the consequences become our daily reality. It's the constant, low-grade hum of anxiety as our rent goes up faster than our paycheck. It's the quiet shame of realizing we can't even build a $1,000 emergency fund because every spare dollar is already spoken for by a dozen different payment plans we're juggling. We're treading water, but the current is pulling harder every month. Life becomes a tightrope walk where one unexpected car repair, one medical bill, isn't an inconvenience, it's a catastrophe. It's the feeling of running faster and faster just to stay in the same place, and the growing suspicion that the finish line is a mirage. We're living on the financial edge, and we're being told it's our own fault for wanting a life we can't afford. Now, look ahead 5 to 15 years. This is where the doors begin to lock permanently. The dream of homeownership, the one our parents took for granted, isn't just delayed. For many of us, the window will slam shut forever. That credit score we unknowingly damaged in our early 20s now makes a mortgage either impossible to get or punishingly expensive. We become permanent renters, building someone else's equity while having none of our own. Retirement savings become a joke. We're so far behind schedule that catching up is a mathematical impossibility. We get trapped in jobs we hate because we can't afford to take the risk of starting over. The life milestones we were promised marriage kids, stability are no longer a matter of when, but if. They become luxury goods, and we've been priced out of the market. And the long-term outlook, for the first time in generations, we are facing the real possibility of working until we die. There will be nothing to pass down, no generational wealth, just a lifetime of extracted labor. But the most immediate consequence is happening right now inside our own heads. It's the 78% of us reporting debilitating financial stress. It's the isolation of feeling like you're the only one failing, when in reality, we are all drowning in the same invisible tide. It's the shame that keeps us from talking about it. That shame is the system's most effective tool. But what we feel isn't a character flaw. This is not personal failure. This is systematic extraction. So the shame was the point. The confusion was the goal. But that ends now. The first step isn't a 7-point plan or a budgeting app. It's a change in vision. You stop looking at the Pay in 4 button as a convenience and start seeing it for what it is, a hook. You stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a strategist. That means you open every one of those BNPL apps on your phone right now, you go to the outstanding balance on each, and you add them up. That final number isn't your spending. That's your exposure. That's the part of your financial future you've handed over to an unregulated system. This isn't advice. That's a trap. The only way out is to stop hoping and start calculating. You have to see the board, not just your next move. This is hard. The system was designed to be hard. But now you see the design, and you can't unsee it. You are no longer a passenger being taken for a ride. You are standing on the side of the road, watching the machine go by. And you finally understand how it works. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. The anger you feel is clarity. The frustration is awareness. The real question is no longer, how do I get ahead? But how much control over my future have I already given away for easy payments at a time? We've exposed how they use free services to bury us in debt, but what happens when the debt isn't free? In the next video, we do the math on the 401k and prove why it's engineered to run out 10 years before you die.